Here we go. Let's try that one more time for me. I don't love how that started. This one's always tricky at the beginning.
Congratulations on soon getting your PhD.
Oh, thank you.
It's very impressive. You will write a large document, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And what, your first year?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just getting into the thick of the weeds. And,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, that's a lot of work. So
Thank you.
I know you're soon to be doctor and you'll be happy about it. Your checking account won't, but the rest of you will probably. So yeah. All right, so let's start at the beginning. I haven't asked you yet today. What information do you need from her in this movement? What do you need? What do you need the most? Rachel? Pulse. And time. Okay, are you getting enough of that?
I'd say once we started going, it's easier to get the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else disagree, agree? Right, but that's true. That's true. Yep. You certainly don't want to ride, but it should be clear, right? The pulse should be clear. Maggie? Yeah. I'm going to introduce another concept to you. And it's the concept of monitoring versus influencing. And I think of it as a spectrum, right? And so you can put monitoring over here and influencing over here. You should never be in the same place all the time, right? Which is why I think it's a spectrum. Sometimes you're monitoring, sometimes you're influencing and getting in the mix of it, right? This movement, I think you start influencing, and then you can move over to monitoring for a little bit, and then shift, right? What this helps you do is change the contrast throughout the movement so it all doesn't look the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start it again, and think about that. Pretend like the spectrum's in front of you. Monitoring is here, meaning you're listening and just letting them play, and then influencing over here when you want to bring something out or you need to draw their attention somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Sorry. A gesture without a breath is a lie.
Yes. Okay.
That's a Craig Kirchhoffism. What's your instrument?
Trumpet.
Trumpet. Okay.
Yep.
Breathe as if you're going to play the first note on trumpet.
Okay.
Do you remember when I asked them what our breathing phrase is?
How to.
Yeah, that was another Gail Williams thing. That's how and that's evidently how the Chicago brass breathes, and I think they sound good, so that's what we do.
All right.
like you're hanging out right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of
Yes.
monitoring, but you're also trying to influence. You're just you're stuck in no man's land. Do you play tennis ever?
No.
You don't? Okay, well, there's a like spot on the tennis court called no man's land. Like, you know the little boxes where the ball goes when they serve? Right beyond that, when the big box, you never want to stand there because that's typically where the ball will bounce. So you either want to be in the back or up in the front court, right? You're kind of hanging out right there where it's like you don't want to be there. You either need to move up to the net or you need to go to the back.
Okay.
Okay, try again. Good. Let's do this. Let's do this even further. Let's just do brass and percussion at the beginning.
Alright.
Only show the brass music.
Okay.
And the timpani solo. Each of the beats can't be the same.
Okay.
So the subsequent beats can't look like previous beats. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this and see if I can do it. Here we go, beginning. Here's the top. Ah. You see? See I'm making these small? And I'm thinking really hard about that. Okay, you try.
Okay.
Make the beats that they're not doing anything, they don't have to be big beats. We call those dead beats, right? That's
Yeah.
that's the term, is a dead beat. Okay. Okay, good. Now let's go at the beginning with the woodwinds.
All right.
And this should look much different.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, give them a second.
Yes.
They're retooling. All right, here we go. Sorry. Let me be a better teacher. Woodwinds only.
Oh, okay.
No brass, no
Gotcha.
percussion. Sorry, I wasn't very clear.
Let's try that one more time. Okay.
Thanks. So there, it's really more monitoring.
Right.
You get that going. You're just going to give them good pulse, good visualization of pulse. So the people you're influencing are the brass and the timpani.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying? That's how the spectrum works. So you just have to choose which one you want to do. If you don't feel like, if you start with the brass and this starts going poorly, come over here and be more monitoring of their pulse, right? If this isn't going well, be more influencing of that back there. That way nothing is ever stuck in the no man's land zone, no woman's land zone, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't want to stay there. We want to go to one side of the spectrum or the other and continue to move as we go. All right, we're all in at the beginning.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, that creates contour and contrast when you do it that way.
Right.
Cool. All right, here we go. Good. Good. How comfortable are you with your left hand?
I am becoming more comfortable.
That's great. Yeah. You know, watching Dr. Chessman's visit chat this morning reminds me, and Dr. Snow mentioned this earlier, that using the left hand is way more mental than it is physical. Right? I was watching around the room this morning to everybody move. Like, look at everybody with their left hand independence. Like, this is great because you're not thinking about music. You're just thinking about playing around, which is why that movement session is so beautiful. You know? But then we look at a score and we think, like, what am I supposed to do with my left hand? And you focus on it, and we all know once you start focusing on something, it becomes more difficult, right? That's why score study, which we'll talk about at 1 o'clock, is so important, you know? And I know you've studied the score. I'm sure you know this, right? So then the next step is, how do you get the left hand involved? You're going to have to assign it jobs, right? You have to just program gestures in. And this is painstaking, right? But you need to go, here are 3 ways I can do this with my left hand, every single thing. But the nice part about it is the more you do that, You go to the next piece and you're like, oh yeah, I have those 120 gestures I already figured out from the other one. And you just keep going with it,
Right.
right? So you just have to program that in a little bit. Let's just for fun, let's do no right hand, only left hand, and see if you can do something with it. Just in that first opening phrase.
All right.
Do you see what we're going for though?
Yeah.
All this contour, contrast stuff? Okay, good. All right.
Yeah. Do you want me to start then?
I'll start them. Here we
Okay.
go. 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, right? It's like, what do I do? I'll just keep doing this because I don't know what to do with my left hand. Yeah, there's really not a lot to do with the left hand in this. The left hand can, and then now we're really going to dissect things. The left hand is pretty much monitoring all the time.
Right.
The only time it's influencing, it's like timpani solo because this is important, right? And other than that, it's just monitoring. So the right hand is the one doing more influencing. Then we go up a level of structure. We're going to be more influencing to the brass and percussion and more monitoring to the woodwinds, you know? And we'll talk about mirroring and monitoring later too, but like that way the hands never look like they're mirroring anything. And if you ever feel like the hands are mirroring, my friends, just change where the left hand is. And it instantly makes it different. If you're it doesn't look like mirroring anymore. Or let the left hand monitor. That contrast is instant. What happens when we get a redundant left hand is when it just starts doing things the right hand's already doing. And that's mirroring, and we don't want to mirror.
Right.
Okay? All right, how much time? 2 minutes? Perfect. All right, let's keep going. Here's the beginning, keep going. Take a good breath at the beginning, a how-to breath. I like your little ba-doo-da. What we don't like is it's not in time.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're moving at this speed, and then we want to meld two beats together, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, mathematically, your speed goes half as fast every time. Right now, your speed is going like a third, so you're not quite in time when you get to that melded move. It's the right idea, it's the right intention, it's just the even flow of time isn't quite right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's try that little phrase again.
Okay.
Where does that start?
It's 1 before 20.
So
It's
19?
a little awkward. Yeah, that works.
Can we go right at 19, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. So that wasn't loud enough, right?
No.
No, not at all. So you're going to have to over-conduct that a little bit. You know, this is when if this is mezzo forte and they're playing this, it needs to be fortissimo, you might have to over-conduct that to make it work. That's very common, right?
Yeah.
Just over-conduct it. Let's go 19 again. Even flow of time is much better.
Okay.
Said you're a trumpet player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are your people.
Yes.
You know, those are your people, right? So you throw it at them. What would you think if you sat in their chair? You know. You don't have to answer that.
Yeah.
You know, but you see what I'm saying though. Like you want to give a gesture that shows like strength without it being too aggressive.
Sure.
Okay. So all of this, let's put all this together before we have lunch because I'm starving.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are too. Conducting is like loading a moving truck. You have to pack in as much as you can in a very finite amount of space. When I moved to Missouri from Arlington, I'll never forget when that United truck pulled up outside the house, and in 30 minutes, like all of your junk goes into this truck, right? And he takes the washer and like flips it upside down and throws it up top, and then takes the treadmill and folds it up and goes sideways. You know what I'm saying? You don't. And then wait till you have a bunch of junk to move somewhere, and this is what happens. But it's like playing Tetris. It's like 3D Tetris on the inside of this truck. And the next thing you know, all of your stuff's in there. You know? And you go in there. And I remember standing in the truck watching this guy, and I'm like, God, this is so much like conducting. And then, God, I'm such a nerd. Because we have a finite amount of space to fit everything in. Right? So the more contour, the more contrast, the more changes we have, the more we adjust speed, space, and weight, and all these variables, all these things, we only have so much time to do it. You know? So you've got to think about how much contour, how much contrast can you fit in, because you only have a limited amount of time to do it. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Conductors, great job this morning. Thank you so much.